Right, everybody, welcome back. I've got Joe Valente back on the podcast. Welcome, Joe, the man, the myth, the legend.
Thank you, Mick.
Brother.
Great to be with you.
So I wanted to get you back on, really, because the last time we had a proper conversation about your business, explained from Improgas to Lord Sugar to the Trade Mastermind, when you had nothing like it is now, what you've created now, what's going on. I've seen so many changes. So I want to know a little bit about where you are 22 and how you've got to where you are now and what you've got in the future. That'd be great for the people to know what you're up to, really.
Talking about leveling up, I just want to say a big congratulations to you, because this studio and your new logo and content and all that stuff you're doing is brilliant.
Cheers,
So well
thank you, appreciate that.
Well done on the consistency, yeah? Great stuff. And love your YouTube channel, by the way. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Yeah. So that one's a little bit slow at the minute. We want more people to engage in that. So I'm hoping by putting better content on, not better guests, but higher end guests.
Absolutely,
so it gives value. But without the support of the people backing me and getting behind me, that's important, guys. If you can do me a favor, just please like and subscribe, so then I can get the guests on and get the people on, etc. like yourself. People will turn up then, so I can get better things back to people, really. Yeah, that's what I want.
Excellent, cool. So the Trade Mastermind, where is it now? So I think when we would have last spoken on a podcast together, it would have been middle of 2022. We were 2 years into the journey. We were doing a couple of £1 million a year. Right now, we are doing £1 million a month in sales. We're consecutively hitting that £1 million a month. So I think we'll end our 4th year in business on hopefully 10 million. In 2024, which is fantastic, which is what I wanted to be at when I started this, because it was how I ended Impra, an 8-figure business. And so I knew that I needed to get back to minimum CEO of an 8-figure company, because when I stopped with Impra, I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to keep growing. So now I've rebuilt the 8-figure platform, and the aim of the game in the next 2 to 5 is to get to 9. So 100 million. Now, whenever you're talking about 100 million or a number that you want to get to, there's kind of 3 ways to look at it. There's revenue, there's profit, and there's valuation. So I'd like either 100 million in sales or 100 million in valuation. 100 million in profit, you'd have to be doing 8 to 900 million to be able to achieve.
So you're looking at about a 10% profit margin there.
About 10%, yeah. On that sort of number. If it's optimized, you might be able to get 20, 30. Right now, our business operates on about a 35% net profit.
That's amazing, though, isn't it?
Net.
Considering my industry, there's nothing like that.
Yeah, absolutely. In the trade and construction sector, it's 30, 40% gross profit margin. So this is a really fantastic business. And I've learned a lot about building a business in a different space with different costs, different margins, different outcomes, different opportunities. And for everybody watching this that's looking to level up, what you've got to remember is that you might be in a business right now, in an industry right now that has a certain amount of profit associated to it. And your job is to build that business to the best it can be. But also, you don't have to stay in that business. You could exit that business. You could grow that business to 1 million, and then you could put in a management team to run it so you can go on to the next business. But in actual fact, you want to be looking at the opportunity vehicle that you are in. And you could have a level 5 skill set in a level 2 opportunity, and it's only going to go so far. You can go and work on it for 10, 12, 14 hours a day, build the best systems, the best processes, have the best organization, but the profit margin is the profit margin. So if it isn't going to grow, it isn't going to grow, yeah? If everybody that worked hard on something was successful, then everybody that worked in Amazon for 12 hours a day would be a multi-millionaire. So the hard work doesn't get the job done. It's about the smart work and the hard work on the right opportunity.
Allocating your time correctly, Joe. Allocating your time correctly, because that's important. I've always felt like I've been robbed of time, but I've robbed myself of that time because I've been doing things that I shouldn't have done. I like me meeting you guys. You put me around people that you've put me around. It all seems to be exactly what you're saying. You can only limit. They hit the ceiling, and when they hit the ceiling, you've got to then look. Well, do I keep it at that ceiling or do I scale it to sell it?
Yeah.
So I think my opinion in my industry, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, about 3 million is a decent turnover, manageable. Your industry has been not really done, so I don't even think you could even say there's no. It's really good what you've done actually, because there's no model out there like this. I mean, there's lots popped up since you started it. Would you say copying you possibly?
Absolutely.
Which is going to happen, and that's a credit to you basically, because people have seen what you're doing, and there's a lot of haters and stuff like that. I was talking about you there in the kitchen where you've took it to, and I think to set up a business, what Joe's done is unique because it's never been done. Like the Millionaire Mastermind, I'm involved with the Millionaire Mastermind. It's like a really unique. I would have never met these people. What Joe's introduced me to, having coffee with them, talking to them, speaking to them, picking their brains, saving me out when I hit the shit. There's a lot of things that come from the mentorship, which just isn't about basically learning and scaling business. It's about if you fuck up, I can turn to Joe and Joe and go, I don't know what to do, Mickey, and he did rightly put me onto the right connections. Thanks for that, Joe.
Yeah,
Never forget that. Never forget that, mate. Never forget that. Sorry for interrupting, but it was just me on a rant.
That's good. It's good.
Yeah.
You're always going to get those rants when we've got me and you on this.
Yeah.
But we love to go off on tangents, that's for sure. So look, Trade Mastermind is let's say 10 million now in its fourth year. I want to take it to 100 million in revenue in the next 2 to 5 years. We're going to do that not by continuing to scale the training business. The training business will stay as an 8-figure business, but the trade group is what's going to take it up to 9 figures. So the trade group effectively is a one-stop shop for trade and construction business owners. We've recently started a design agency, TM
Looking at
Design.
insurances as well, everything. You done did the whole lot.
We got TM Design, we've got Trade Pod already. We're about to launch Trade Recruit. I'm looking to buy an accountancy firm, so we'll launch Trade Finance. I'm looking to get a CRM business, so we'll buy one of those as well. And then insurances, buying groups, all of this cool stuff that comes from teaching a business how to scale. Training really has got a 24-month shelf life. Once someone's come through the academy and then they've done one-to-one coaching or they've done Millionaire Mastermind, they get the knowledge, they get so successful, they do so well that they don't need to keep reinvesting back into that training. It's a choice. You could keep a mentor for, 3, 4, 5 years if you like, but usually when you're growing, you can outgrow your mentor. So you're looking for the next level of information. That was the whole concept of Millionaire Mastermind. When a business starts to generate sales and cash flow, where do you invest that cash flow to be able to start to create wealth? You're investing in your personal brand. This will pay you. This creates you equity in the marketplace for your business, for yourself. And, you never know when you're doing something like this, what doors it's going to open or how those dots are going to connect further down the line. You just got to keep showing up, podcast after podcast, video after video, and make sure you remain consistent. That's absolutely
like
the key.
showering. Got to shower every day to keep clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I got that from you, actually. I think I did.
There's a Jim Rohn quote about motivation, and it's like, if you're just motivated... I can't even remember what the quote is, so let's just not even bother going down.
Moving on to first play.
Something about motivation and having a bath, so maybe you got it from that. But so the trade group now is an 8-figure business. It's going to go to 9 figures. I would sell this business if I got 100 million for it. I wouldn't sell it for anything less than 100 million. And, I'm clear on what that number looks like. And if you've got a business that's making 10 million a year profit, there's no point exiting for 100 million and having nothing else to do. So if you've got other businesses that you can invest in or other ideas, but loads of people, they build a business, they exit a business, they get a few mil out of it, and then they go, right, well, what am I going to do now? Well, it's taken me 4 years to build it to the point where it's making millions.
You've done that quick, though.
Profit.
4 years, you've done that really quick. You don't take credit away from that, because I don't know anybody really building companies that quick.
Yeah.
Because it's been from zero in your bedroom to like, loads of risks. there's not many businesses that get to that sort of scale in 4 years. Let's be honest. It's a massive achievement. That.
Well, there's only, believe it or not, there's 5.4 million businesses in the UK, and only 7% of them achieve £1 million in turnover or more. Only
wow, I never knew that.
Out of 5 million. So, you know, anybody doing near on that million figure or that million figure, you're in the top 7% of all businesses in the UK. So there's a lot of small businesses, you know, but the fact is, the reason that I've been able to do it so quickly was my experience at Impra taught me how to sell and market. And without marketing and sales, your business will never grow. And the level of intensity that we place into our sales and marketing activity is a lot. As you will know, these guys will know, you know, we got guys coming to our discovery days here where we teach people for free for a day and they're saying, I've been watching you for 3 years. You keep showing up. And finally,
you're here.
You know, now I need to get off the tools. I've showed up. There was one guy that's been watching since the first kind of webinar and he's just shown up and joined the academy. It took 4 years to convert him to a customer.
Mental.
And then some people, they will see an ad, they'll come down straight away and then they will come and, you know, because they just know it's right for them. But the key in business is about continuing to show up because your customers might not need you right now, but at some point they're going to need you. So if you don't stay persistent and consistent in the marketplace, then, you know, you're not going to be there when people need you. You know, and that's really, really important. But, you know, if I could just stay on this sales piece, the reason we've seen the rapid growth really in the last year and a half was down to the sales model, the operating system. And so we know where we're generating our leads, where we're pitching our customers and how we're closing our deals. And once you've got a consistent model there, the aim of the game is just to scale that model. Mm-hmm. And so if your revenue is up and down, my revenue is consistent. If your revenue has peaks and troughs, your operating model to acquire a customer isn't consistent.
Broken.
You just need to have leads, pitch, close.
While I'm interrupting you there,
Yeah,
sorry.
go for it.
While I'm on to that, so what do you think you've spent in the last 4 years? This is a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Spent on this company, putting stuff back in, because I think it's important to people to know how important it is to put money back in and not be afraid of doing that and not hold all your money like a stinge. So how much would you say you've put back in?
I reckon over 4 years, we've probably spent, I don't know, so far this year to date, it's September, I reckon I've done about £1 million on marketing.
Yes, it's huge, isn't it? It's huge to get that level of attention and what you're doing. I know that you've got a lot more savvy at that because obviously you've told me things in the past, but people say to me, yeah, mate, I'm going to set up, you know, we'll just put an ad in. I'm like, you stick 10 grand a month, you'll get 10 grand a month. Whatever you do is you're limited on that. So I think that's important what you're saying about sales. I mean, you know me, I've always been shy about sales, and it's only now that I've now got Gaz that's doing the sales. I've got Wes involved, and that was all because of me being poorly. And I wish I'd have took Joel's advice right at the beginning, but I was scared. I was just scared of doing it. It's true. You haven't got a business unless you put people in charge. I won't be able to do this if I'd not listened to Joel.
My overheads are about £600,000 a month. So that's back into people,
Christ.
marketing, systems, processes, rent, office, products, you know, whatever, right? It's about 600K a month. So, you know.
Massive figures though, isn't it? It's big figures.
Well, it is if you're not, well.
Once you get there, I suppose it's not.
Well, I remember when I was a young entrepreneur and I came across this guy and I used to have imposter syndrome when I looked at numbers. So where did I get the audacity to be able to say that I'm going to be a billionaire and the actual belief? Because I know I am going to be. I'm just not got there yet. I'm a billionaire in training. Where do you get that confidence from, that belief? Well, it just comes down to, it's just a couple more zeros. Yeah, that's it. It's just a couple more zeros. Who cares about what the number is? You know, and when I've done training sessions before or talks and I've said, right, write down what you want to be worth when you exit your career or you retire, people don't know what to put. People get absolutely
embarrassed, I would say.
Overwhelmed. They think, is it 100K? Am I worth $1 million? Am I worth 10? Am I worth $1 billion? And it's just a couple more zeros. Yeah. If you haven't got it, okay, if you haven't got £10,000, then you haven't got £10 million. If you've got £10,000, you can get £10 million. It's just the game of zeros.
Yeah, I get it. I think a lot of people, though, when you put them on the spot and you ask that, I think that's all down to self-belief for how we've been taught
Definitely.
as kids, from that instruction of, when you're a kid, you ask a kid what you're going to be. I'm going to be a fireman, a superstar, whatever. But time as 7 or 8 year old, they're like, and then suddenly we're afraid to say it. So, like, I'm afraid of looking stupid. So if I said, I'm going to be worth 10 million quid or whatever my goal was, if you'd have asked me that years ago, I'd have been like, because you'd be a bragger. And I think that's the problem. You kind of tell people that it's not embarrassing to have ambition. It's not embarrassing to do well in life. I think people need to wake up to the fact that it's fucking brilliant. I'd rather have a load of money in the bank and be unhappy than be unhappy with no money in the bank. There's lots of different phrases that I've heard over the, masterminds and mentors that you've introduced me to and stuff like that. But I think the billion pound mark feels to me like fucking hell. When you're saying that outside of me, I'm thinking that's like fucking next level.
It's 1,000 million.
1,000. I thought. Do you know what? I actually thought it was. Is a trillion a million or 1,000 million? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
No.
I know a billion's 1,000 million.
Yep.
Yeah. But when you go and sit with an Alfie, like we were yesterday, well, he's got 1,000 million in assets, right? In his businesses and his valuation of his group. I don't know exactly how it's made up, but it's a valuation of 1 billion. Yeah. So that's 1,000 million. But you will see Alfie and you will know he's a pretty down-to-earth guy. He's a pretty normal guy. He's a humble guy. And, to get to 1 billion, you don't need to be, a tech, Elon Musk, genius. Because if you put the people on the pedestal, it becomes impossible to achieve. If you put the process on the pedestal, It becomes possible to achieve. All you got to do is follow what people have done. I think it's absolutely achievable to become a billionaire. I think anyone could do it if you, number one, have the blueprint, and number two, you replicate the traits of what delivered the action plan. Because it's all well and good me going, here's a step-by-step guide to do it. But if you're not a risk taker, you don't work hard, you're not resilient, you're not motivated, you don't continuously show up, you're not disciplined, then that action plan isn't going to be executed in the same way that the person that gave you the action plan did it in. So it's not just about following the steps, it's also about replicating the habits of how to deliver, on that action plan. But numbers are just numbers. There is nothing wrong with thinking big, but if you tell your dreams to small-minded people, they'll find a way to talk you out.
Say slam you down, yeah. Absolutely spot on. I mean, I've had that, pretty much all my life. People said, "Oh, you're a dream." In fact, when I started doing these podcasts and stuff, people were saying, "You fucking idiot! You're making yourself look stupid. It's embarrassing. It's this, that, and the other." And that was people that was close to me actually.
Yeah.
And as it's gone on and doing more and more, people now in our community around where I live are saying, "Oh, you're doing loads of stuff. I really like it." And I think what people didn't realize, what you said about if you'd have done more on your personal brand years ago, you'd be a completely different situation. Now, I think if I'd have done it myself and stuck to it before I come poorly, I think I would have been a lot further forward now. But it's mad because regardless of what people think, this is the way that it's going to be, and this is how people are going to advertise. Young people are already doing it with their own little YouTube channels at school and all that. It's already happening. Whereas a lot of older people, similar to my age, like, "Oh, I'm scared of what people say. I don't give two fucks anymore. I really don't. I couldn't care." I did do, because it's hurtful sometimes, the things you say, but you've got to look at it as like, the old saying, isn't there, no bad publicity is good publicity, that sort of thing. I mean, you've kind of taught me that as well, because I've asked you a couple of times, "Oh, how would you react to that?" And what do you say? Fuck them, basically. It's as simple as that. At the end of the day, you can't think about what other people think. There's always going to be small, narrow-minded people out there, and people who don't want you to achieve because they're talking themselves out of their goal because it gives them an excuse not to do it themselves. It's a bit like gym, innit? Yeah. Have a pint. Don't go gym. It's all that sort of shit, you're growing up, Yeah, look at me now because I've not been to the gym for 18 months. I've put some timber on. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So going back to this studio, what you've created, what you did, because I came here, I think, the first time, and you had like this, and then you was going into hotels, which I know you still do because of the space and stuff, but it's pretty tricky in here now, isn't it? You've got the little training room, well, it's not little, the training room in there. You've got this place, which is huge. I mean, you guys can't see behind the scenes, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people working away on all sorts of social media. So when you look at that, you think, you know, if Joel's spending this time to do this and create this, then it's got to fucking work. I mean, who am I to think any different? Ultimately, what you're doing works. So I bet you wish you'd have done it sooner, don't you, the social side? I mean, I've watched you. Your life is like bloody Truman Show. You're constantly on camera. How do you feel like? How does that feel to you, like, with you be on camera?
Well, I made a mistake after winning The Apprentice, and that was I went quiet and I went off to build Impra. And at the time, social media was still relatively new, and I had a huge amount of attention. If I'd have been consistent and leveraged that attention when I was 25, 10 years ago, I'd have millions and millions and millions of followers now, and I would be making millions and millions of pounds just off AdSense and YouTube and TikTok, and probably just physical product from all that loyal following. But I was very, very inconsistent. I would spend so much time building Impra because I saw that as my big ticket out. And then if I got millions, you know, who really cares? If I got hundreds of millions, who cares about, you know, personal brand, really, was what my mindset was. And the fact is, this time around, I'm not going to make the same mistake. And I sat with Izzy and a gentleman called Brandon who was working with me at the time. And I said to them, right, guys, I want to start this documentary. Yeah, I don't want to get to $1 billion status and then realize that I'm going to start making content now to tell the story. I want to document it, so in 20 years, this will be the first time ever anybody's documented the rise to $1 billion wealth on camera, and you can go back year on year, month on month, week on week, and go and watch the series
there forever.
How he did it, yeah? 20 years worth of content. So the Unfinished Business documentary is a 20-year plan, because I intend to be a billionaire by 55. I'm 35 now, so it's 20-year commitment to this show, minimum. And to be honest, we are about to launch our 52nd episode. So I've done 1 year. I've done an episode a week now for the whole year, and it's just become, I've really enjoyed it. You know, we've had a number of different people work on the show, some great editing, some amazing scenes, some really good creative. I'd have different videographers and people working on it, and people have done a great job. And I think we're starting to really build a loyal following.
Yeah, definitely getting it. I mean, I watch it, obviously, but I was like watching that when you brought your son into it and stuff like that. It's pretty cool that. I mean, I think that's important as well, because basically some people will say, oh, you know, you're bringing your son to work. I actually seen one of the comments, actually, so I brought it up about Unfinished Business, and I thought, well, you know, at the end of the day, he's gonna have an amazing life, and his dad's showing him the path, very similar to, I'm not saying Alfie Jr., for instance. His dad showed him the path, and look at him now. Everyone said like he's a silver spoon kid, and Alfie said yesterday, no, he's not. He's the golden spoon kid.
Yeah.
Because he's already. I mean, yes, he's had help, but sometimes that help can hinder the person's opportunities. Eddie Earn said with his dad, he was known as his lad. And when he mentioned Wigan, that's where he went. That's where I used to go, to fucking Wigan Leisure Centre. My mate used to fight on the undercars. I was dying to say, you know, like that's what I did when he was very young. I mean, he's not much younger than me, actually. He's about 2 years younger, but that's what I'm saying. So the thing is, with you bringing him into it now at such a young age, he's being brought up around this environment. So it's just going to feel like fucking normal, isn't it? So I kind of think that's brilliant.
I've watched Grant Cardone in America for the last 10 years. And when I started watching him, I was 23, 24, and his daughters were very young. Now they're about 14, and they are on point. He's homeschooled them, and they talk in front of thousands of people at 7, 8, 9, 10 years of age. They've gone to his growth cons. They do sales calls. They're in the business. They're so professional, well articulated, knowledgeable. They know his business inside out. They can assess deals. Now, you know, I've posted on LinkedIn before, and I've said, I don't just take my son to the park. I take him to the boardroom. And people are like, oh my God,
I've seen it.
Get a life. Take him to the park. Like, why do you take him to work? And I'm like, this kid's going to be somebody. I don't want him fucking living in the park, you know, 24 hours a day. I want him to I'm not building this legacy for it to be frittered away on the next generation. So he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. I want him to deliver. He has to be a much better man than me. I want him to be 10 times more successful. And, you know, I'm starting to look at like the Eddie, from the Barry Hearn piece yesterday and the Eddie Hearn. Eddie's taken his dad's start and he's made it something great. Donald Trump did it with his dad. Well, I am going to create a platform for Joseph.
Your son can do it.
Yeah, so he can do it. But I'm not going to be able to do it as big because I'm starting from the bottom. So the hardest challenge will be the grandson. Will his son be able to instill the value? And, you know, how did the likes of the Rothschilds
do it?
How did they instill that generational, because they've been hundreds of years dynasty, how did they instill the culture, the values, the approach, to be able to go into, to be able to continue the bloodline that wants to chase that wealth? You know, and that would be something that I quite like the sound of, and how you go and inspire to do that.
I wonder if it's because, like, you know, you could have like 3 children, couldn't you? And one of them's just not interested, and one of them's super focused. So I think sometimes maybe it is instilling it, but I'm not so sure. Do you believe you can instill it into somebody to do what we do, or do you think it's something that we're naturally born with?
I think most entrepreneurs start out of struggle. They want to change their life in some way, shape or form. You know, it's usually driven by pain, or a point to prove, or someone to help. And then I think that, to be the second generation of entrepreneur, it's got to be bred into you. You know, Eddie was at boxing matches his whole life, you know, from very, very young. Joseph's been in the boardroom with me since he was 6 months old. And now he sits in the boardroom and he just sits there like this.
In his little suit.
3 years of age, and he doesn't talk for 3 hours, and he just takes in everything. So who knows what impact that's doing? I haven't done this before, so I don't know what he's going to turn out.
There's no book, is there, for kids? It's not something you can read about. In fact, the mastermind for kids.
But he loves it. He says millionaire mastermind. He gets his little laptop out that's a VTech, and he goes, "I'm making sales, daddy." You know, and he says all of this stuff, doesn't really understand it, but, you know, he obviously, he knows about business, and I've told him I talk to him all the time. When it's just me and him, I'm telling him, I'm like, you do realize, Joseph, that you've got a lot of pressure on your shoulders. You do realize that I'm expecting big things out of you. You do realize that me and you are going to take over the world together. And he's like, yes, daddy, yes, daddy, yes, daddy. So, you know, we'll see whether that goes in or not in 10 years.
Yeah, I definitely think it will. If it's a spawn of yours, he's definitely going to take it in. 100% he will. But, that was interesting, wasn't it, with Eddie, like how he was explaining how his dad had never let him win anything.
Yeah.
He was telling about his granddaughter that he's like diving around at 72, winning his granddaughter. Like, that sort of attitude he did. His dad was like, did he call him a project? He said he was a project.
Yeah.
Like, you're my son and I love you, but mate, you're my project.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But it's hard for people to understand that. I think that sort of upbringing will make a man. The sort of upbringing is what's happening today is not making men, it's making weak men. Weak men are becoming weakened. And I think we need to remember that, because if you've got children, daughter, son or whatever, and I have no children biologically anyway, and ultimately, if you give them everything and bring them up that way, they'll be spoiled, selfish brats.
Yeah.
You've got to do what his dad did, reality checks.
Yeah.
You know, basically, you don't win at everything in life, because now they're teaching kids everything. Go to sports, everyone gets a fucking medal. It's like they need to be told that you only get wins by going after them. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's...
No, absolutely. I think the world's gone soft. And, everybody wants to do work from home, no pressure, no stress, someone's going to come and solve all of your problems, everything's going to be okay. I think everybody's just so confused. There's so much conflicting information and mindset and, yeah, well, but that's good for people like us, though, because that just means you go into the marketplace and it's easy to win. Let everybody else be distracted. Let everybody else be weak. Let everybody else, focus on whatever it is they want to focus on. Because I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to take everything. I'm going to go into this marketplace and I'm just going to take it.
Yeah.
Less competition, the better.
That's absolutely right, isn't it? I mean, I have noticed there's more and more and more, and you've had it, as I know of, you had people going under, behind, snaky, whatever you want to call it. I've heard stories of like factual stuff, but I think you're so far ahead of the curve because you like even this studio, what you're doing now. I don't think anybody's really doing it, are they? No one's, this sort of level.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have this opportunity, what I've got, if it wasn't out for you, for what you've done for me. But on the flip side of that, if it weren't people like me who believed in you, wouldn't. But people do believe in you. I believe in you. I know that you've never really said anything to me that's never really, filtered out. I would hold my hand up, admittedly, that the reason why I've not done as well as I was is basically when I did get poorly, I guess I did use it a bit of an excuse because it's like, oh, you can have a minute now. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've something to the gym or whatever. And about 8-9 months ago, probably, about 8 or 9 months ago, my mindset just flipped. I thought, what the frig am I doing here? I've built all this and am I just happy with this? Well, no, I'm not. I've got people around me that are getting advanced, catching up and overtaking me. Well, that's not fucking happening. So it took a long time for my mindset to flip into the mindset it is now.
Good.
It's back.
Good.
As you probably see it.
And look, we all go through, those peaks and troughs. Success isn't a straight line. Sometimes you're up for it. Sometimes you want to quit. Sometimes things are going well. Sometimes things are going bad. But when things are going really well, be calm. And when things are going bad, be calm. And there's that video from a couple of actors, and they're like, "This too shall pass." And, people get really emotional and reactive about, when I was successful in my 20s, I was really on it, every win I would blow out and I'd be, and then never expecting the loss. And then when the loss comes, you're kind of like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. And now it's £1 million a month. Like for me, we're in a great position. I built a fantastic business. This business is amazing. I could go and step out of this company now and it could run without me here. But the fact is, it's not enough. It would never fulfill me personally to let it be. I don't care if it's making 1 million, 5 million or 10 million. Even when I'm making 100 million in profit, I will want to get to 1 billion because I want to achieve. I don't care about the money. The money's the byproduct of doing something that you're passionate about.
When you said that you was going to step away, I don't think you'll ever step away because what your colleague said to you was the other day, and I know a lot of them probably think you're a bloody nightmare half the time, but when it was your birthday, and I didn't know what your birthday, happy birthday, I've completely forgot, sorry about that, and I saw the comments, what they were saying, and some of them like really hit home, you kind of pushed them out the comfort zone, especially a couple of the girls who probably were shy and didn't the confident. And some of the stories I heard, but I do think if you wasn't here, Joseph, I think you do need in a business, because even if you could get someone that give you 80% of what you could get, it would definitely work.
Yeah.
I do think the way you drive and the way you are, and sometimes I'm listening to you thinking, bloody hell, what's going on there? But that's what we need. That's what we all need. So, everybody needs that. Everybody needs that, including you. You need it. But I don't know who says that to you. You probably go home and have a word with yourself in the mirror. I don't know. But you've got to have somebody, even in any sales, anything, because it does get a bit dull, doesn't it? You've got to have somebody that goes like, fucking hell, lads, come on, get up. We need to sort this out and this and this, because I think that's what happens in companies. They get comfortable. They sit comfortable. And I've been listening to the Diary of CEO, and that's a big thing. They sit comfortable. We're here now. We're never going to fall. Then some young smart fucker comes along with a different idea, a different game plan. They're out the game. Finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
for me, business is about innovation. I come here to do one thing only, and that's to solve problems. I come for 12 hours a day to solve problems. I'm not here to add any other value than to solve problems. And solving problems is what creates the next level of growth. People hit their ceiling because they don't overcome those day-to-day challenges. And with this business and everybody in this business, there's one thing that no one can get away with here, and that's dropping the standards. I uphold standards, and I will not accept anything but the absolute best. And they might hate me for it at times, and I'm sure that they do. But when they look back and realise how far they've come in a lot of cases, then that's where the gratitude kicks in. But you need someone constantly to be pushing you forward, or you're never going to get out of your comfort zone. So the CEO's job or the COO's job is not to be liked, but to be respected. And if my people stop delivering and they're not executing, then I'm indirectly letting them down. So their business won't succeed if they are failing. And if I don't push them to succeed, then the business won't succeed. So I've got 40 families that rely on this company to win. They've probably all got a couple of children each, so it's like couple of hundred people that are relying on this business day to day to succeed. And if I disappear, the CEO is the driving force of any organization. And the business will go as far as the CEO wants it to go. So as the owner of a business, don't expect people to come in and grow your business. You show up every day to grow your business and to grow with them and to push them to be able to scale up the company.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But at this level right now, I am CEO, COO, and that's tough. I'm running the operations, I'm building the systems, I'm driving the marketing, I'm working on the strategy, I'm developing the products, I'm looking into the future, I'm overseeing the financials. So there's a lot of pressure on me right now across this company. But it's great pressure, but there's 2 strategic hires that I'm making. Number 1 is COO. So I'm bringing in somebody to come and run the day-to-day of the business so I can spend more time working in the future, so I can start buying in businesses. I don't want to be running in the day-to-day. I don't want to be the guy that comes in at 9 o'clock and finishes at 6 and walks around and manages all the departments and sits through the meetings and
You've
checks
done it,
the
and you've been there, done that. You've done that for a long time.
I enjoy it, but I'm the creator more than the finisher. And a CEO is a creator and a COO is a finisher. I make the ideas, and the job is to pass those ideas to somebody. That's how it should be. At the minute, I'm doing both, and I won't get to 9 figures doing running this business.
It's impossible.
Like that. Yeah,
it's impossible because you're only so many hours in a day, isn't there?
So but I've got a great guy that I'm hoping I'm going to pull off. He runs a 150 million business. He's based out of Luxembourg right now, and he runs a big part of Amazon. Been in Amazon for 15 years, and you know what Amazon's like. It's high performance, super productivity, no messing around, get the job done. He's been in the military for 15 years, and prior to that, and I'm like, this is the guy that I want. He's 55, he's very experienced. He'll get lots of respect, and he will execute based on the time. But he's a big guy, big personality, big investment, big salary, but he's got a 3-month notice period. So if he starts, it'll be 1st of Jan. So that's a big, exciting move I'm looking to build into. That's the point for anybody that's looking into hire a C-suite execs. Don't be expecting them to come in a week, and don't be expecting them to come in a month. These guys are so fundamental to businesses. Their minimum notice period in a lot of cases is 3 months. So you want to be looking really far ahead when you're bringing in senior people, so you can start the interview process early. You want to be interviewing a good 5 to 10 candidates in a role like this as well.
You've got to be accurate, and they've got to fit in your culture as well, haven't they? I mean, the proof will be in the pudding, Joe. That'll be really interesting to see. I can't wait to see that. How that turns out. That'll be good.
Yeah.
So have you got any future plans for? You mentioned about anything like buying, say, a heating company, or just doing something where you buy a construction company and you get involved in that? Because you mentioned that you was thinking about maybe doing something that. What was that about?
Well, I've got a big event on the 3rd of October here with Jonathan J, who's a buying and selling business expert. That's what he teaches people to do. So he's a mentor on the Millionaire Mastermind. So we're going to be running that, and I just see buying businesses. I never really understood buying businesses. I've always been very good at growing businesses organically, and I've recently paid a mentor to come and teach me how to buy businesses and how to sell businesses. Really great guy, private equity guy, high-level guy. I'll probably bring him to the Millionaire Mastermind at some point. But his biggest exit was $2 billion. And he's a global guy, global operator. He knows all the guys in Australia, America, all the top people. And there's something called mid-market private equity. Yeah. So when your business makes 5 million EBITDA, you open up a mid-market of private equity. So there's all of these players where they got all of these big pots, and they're looking to buy businesses that, it doesn't matter what industry in a lot of cases, that's just got a minimum of 5 million profit effectively, yeah, EBITDA. But they will buy businesses with 5 million in profit, usually on an 8 to 12 times multiplier, yeah? So based on this business right now, 2025, we will make, I don't know, let's say Trade Group makes a minimum of 5 million in 2025, which it will, yeah? This business I could exit for 50 million. I wouldn't, because my number's 100, yeah? But I could go and sell it for 50 million, yeah? And when you look to build EBITDA, you can go and buy, let's say a recruitment business that's doing 1 million in EBITDA, yeah? You go and buy that million and you give the recruitment company 2 times what that EBITDA is worth. So I'm going to buy it for 2 million. But now I've got 1 million of EBITDA to add into my 5. So because I'm going to get a 10 times multiplier on my 5 anyway, adding this million in and making it 6, I now get 10 times the million. But it only cost me 2 million to buy it. Now I'm going to get 10 million back out.
The understanding, because I never understood what you've just said. Now I do.
Yeah.
It's kind of like stacking. It's almost like bloody gambling. It's stacking your odds, I suppose. But
you just want to be looking for businesses that have got profit already, okay, that you can add into your overall business strategy, roll them up into a group or into one business, and then you've got this big pot of profit. Well, these guys want to buy into that and take that profit and that business and that sector and roll it up into even bigger ones. And they'll go sell it to the high levels of private equity for many more millions than that. That's just mid-level. So I think I will want to be at least 100 million net worth, at least by the time I'm 40. I've got 5 years. I've got to smoke that. I will probably do it in 3. Okay, but I want to be 100 million by 40, and then I will take my own money and go and do exactly what I just said. And I will go and buy all them businesses. I won't start another one from scratch again after this. Okay, I will then just use the money to buy them, and then I will do a big roll up, and that's where I'll exit for a load of billions.
Yeah, I get it.
That's got to be the game. Because buying revenue's easier than generating it. But if you don't know the game of buying businesses and how to integrate them into other businesses, then it's a whole new beast in itself. The easiest thing to learn first, in my opinion, is how to drive the sales. Because if you buy one, you've still got to know whether it's got, the ability to consistently produce revenue. So you've got to understand marketing and sales. If you're good at marketing and sales, it doesn't matter what business you go into, you can generate customers for that business. So the skill really, if you want to get good in any business, is forget the service that you offer, forget the product that you deliver, work first and foremost in how to acquire a customer. Because none of that shit matters if you can't get customers.
Correct.
Yeah? So that's the aim of the game. And then the second thing, just while we're talking about driving those sales at the beginning, that I wish I did in my 20s, was I wish I developed products and services that I could resell, that I could sell back to my existing customers.
Subscriptions and things like that.
Yeah, not subscriptions, and just I like big ticket more than I like subscriptions, because it's just better for cash flow. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to make a sale, I want the sale to be worth thousands. I'm not interested in selling something for 20 quid, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just not a smart use of my time.
And it takes years to build up that sort of subscription, especially in my industry. Yeah, I get that. You said that to me actually years ago, to be quite honest. When I said about Impra, and you said that, but it's true, and you've got to look for the different verticals with what you already know. I always believe that it's a good idea to master what you know before you look at anything else, because I've looked at other things and really messed up because I didn't understand it, and I just took someone's word for it. It's quite naive, really, what I've done, and I suppose a lot of people at my age have done that, because you don't realise if you spend a lot of time and get what you're doing right, then that'll run itself. And you said that yesterday in that mastermind, then everything else will fall into place, because you get that right, that's running right, and then you can spend your time on that. But until you get this right, there's no point doing this. You've got stages of times and vehicles. You've been saying it for years. It's only just clicked that probably in the last 12 months.
Good.
But it's true. It's very, very true.
Good.
Focus. That's what we need, guys. Everyone's got to focus. Have you anything to add to this, Joe, before I wrap it up now? Because I'm absolutely starving and it's dinner time.
Yeah,
so,
no, nothing really. I think I think for every business out there, you know, you have got to learn not just about your trade, you've got to learn about business. If you don't understand sales, marketing, operations, and finance, your company will never grow. They are the core 4 ingredients to scaling any type of business in any market, in any sector. And you've got to be willing to do things differently. You know, Mick's here right now. He's got himself a podcast. He's building his brand. He's creating content. How many people in trade and construction are doing this right now? Very, very few. Meaning that you are standing out for the crowd. But when you put your head, you know, above the wall, people are going to want to take shots. And you just got to have that mindset where it's water off a duck's back. And if you're not willing to go and innovate and do something different, then be prepared to get paid like everybody else gets paid. There's always that piece where people talk about price. We're always getting undercut on price. That's just because you're not giving the customer a reason to buy into anything bar the service. And if it's all about the service, then people are always going to compete on price. But it's about the company that delivers the service. That's your only opportunity to create real uniqueness in the marketplace. Think big, dream big. Okay, get around the right people, get trained up, join networks, get in mastermind, invest in yourself, and you'll become very, very successful.
Well, I'm going to wrap it there. Thanks very much, Joe.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you. Right, guys, don't forget to, I really need you to do me a favour. To get guests on like Joe and high-end guests, I need more followers. I need more people to help me do this so I can deliver a better product to you guys. If anybody out there, you can always reach out to me. Anyone's got any tips, but please, before I really ask, and this will really help me, go to the channel, like and subscribe, follow me, and send me some comments and a bit of feedback. Thank you very much, guys. But remember, do not get left out in the cold. Take care.